I'm a big believer in God, and I think that's just one of the biggest things for me. Like I feel like God has a plan for me and everything, and I feel like as long as I believe in Him and do what I'm supposed to do and don't stray off my path, I think that's really just it. Like I can't give more of an answer than that because I feel like if you just are truly unwavering in your faith in God, like things will turn out as they are, as they're supposed to be, as He intended. So I wouldn't like get caught up in like, well, this isn't going well right now. Well, like I think that God just has a greater plan.
Hello, and welcome back into the Champions Standard Podcast. I am your host, Jay Bowles, and if you're new here, this podcast is all about diving into the stories of college athletes, both former and present, and how the sport has changed them, the challenges they face, and the lessons they carry beyond their competition. Today, I'm going to be joined by one of my teammates, Lee Harris. He's a sprinter at Tulane University. Lee has had a short yet very impressive journey on the track, but what makes his story even more compelling is how he's battled through injuries and really kept pushing forward. So we're going to talk about his transition from tennis to the track, a very interesting transition, kind of the mental and physical grind of overcoming setbacks and kind of what keeps him motivated to keep going through all the injuries and different hurdles he's had to face. So this episode is packed with insight, so whether you're an athlete, fan, or just someone who's looking for inspiration, how to deal with adversity, like always, you've come to the right place. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Lee Harris. Man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. What's been going on with you lately?
Nothing much. I've just been gearing up for this meet we got next weekend, UCF Invitational. Trying to run 10-2, so hopefully I can do that. I've been putting in the extra work in the weight room, getting my hips mobile, making sure I feel good. That's about it.
I got you. How's training been going? I know you've obviously had a lot of progress on the track, but like how's the training every day been going for you?
Honestly, this week has probably been my best week of training that I've had in maybe 3-4 months. It's a long time. I mean, I've just been kind of injured, kind of set back, and I've been able to be a full practice participant. And this week I've been able to, just complete every workout every day. So I'm feeling really good about that.
No, that's what's up. Just talk about that kind of injury process. Like, is there some kind of thing you do to like say to yourself to keep you going, or is it just kind of just working through the whole process and just when you get back, you're back and kind of just let the process take care of itself?
So, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me has just been listening to my body. I've been pretty open with coach. We've been talking about like how I'm going to make it through, so I don't get re-injured or injured worse and I can still heal in practice. So the big thing is just communicating with my coach, making sure she knows how I feel at the end of every rep. Should I do another one? Should I take it off? Things like that. And then obviously going to the trainer, doing my rehab, doing my treatment. And then on top of that, after weights or, on the weekends coming in and just doing some mobility work to make sure my body's loose, things like that, just the extra stuff. And obviously eating right, all these little things, sleeping right, all these little things add up and, help me stay on the track.
For sure. Having gone through like some injuries myself, I know it can be sometimes hard to keep that same motivation, even though, you're trying to get back. But just kind of explain how you're able to kind of still stay positive and stay motivated to get back on the track and like, get better, even though you might not be able to do everything that you want to do when you're injured.
Honestly, like it's definitely not easy. A big thing for me is like I've never really struggled with my own like self-confidence, and I always feel like that I'm able to do whatever I put my mind to. It's like I believe that I can, run fast, run these times, and that like as long as I do what I'm supposed to be doing, eventually it's gonna come. Like last year, I had a hamstring injury most of the season, and I didn't do what I wanted to do that season, obviously. I mean, but I kept trusting in my process, obviously trusting in God, and I mean that would just help me get through it.
Oh, that's what's up. So, this year obviously you've improved drastically on the track. So just kind of talk about how you kind of did you see that coming, or was it kind of something you knew you had, but you just kind of had to show it on the track?
I always feel like I had it. like I feel like I'm a little bit behind my timeline, if that makes sense. Like, and I started running track my senior year of high school. I ran 10.8 at the high school state championships. And I mean, I ran like 10.69, super win aided in AAUs, which was probably about 10.8 again. But so like I kind of always felt like I had like a natural just ability to run fast. I came in, I had never lifted a weight before when I came to college. I didn't even know how to A skip. Like it was little things like that. And I came in thinking, yeah, I'm gonna come first year, run 10.3, and it's gonna be sunshines and rainbows. That's not really what happened. I mean, I did PR. Technically, I ran 10.75. I ran 21.70, but I felt like I could have done better. A big thing was just kind of adjusting to the college life. Like you just have so much more freedom. Like I could eat whatever I want, go out late with my friends. I could just kind of just do anything. There was nobody was telling me what to do. So I think that was a big thing, kind of just adjusting to the freedom and having to stay disciplined within myself, without my parents telling me I had to do certain things. So I mean, I kind of always believed I had the ability to do it. I just kind of didn't immediately realize that I really had to work really, really hard. Because in high school, like, I mean, I can't sit here and say I worked that hard in high school. Like, I played tennis. I didn't even go to track practice. I kind of just went on the track and ran fast, but that can only take you so far. So I kind of had to find it in myself to stay disciplined and do the little things that really count towards the end result. Like it's hard because nobody sees the little stuff that you do every single day. They just kind of see that time that you have on your T-first profile. But like, I was coming in every single Friday last semester and just getting an extra lift in, getting extra mobility work in. I would come into the trainer on Saturday mornings to make sure my body was right. So like it's just the little things like that that really matter. Because I always believed I had the ability. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. You touched on it briefly. Just talk about like kind of what got you into track in the first place, because obviously, like you said, you just kind of started it pretty late in the process. So that's pretty different from a lot of different track athletes that I've talked to so far on this podcast. Just kind of explain how that kind of all came to be and how you kind of decided to pursue this in college.
So I started running track because I played tennis, and like I don't know, like maybe it's just where I'm from, but tennis is kind of like a little bit looked down upon. They're kind of like, oh, like it's tennis, like it's not that hard, like real athletes don't play tennis, yada yada, this and that. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna run track and show them, like, yeah, like a real athlete, real tennis athletes can go run track. So I did that, and I happened to be pretty good at it. And my tennis coach in high school, he wasn't big on the idea of me running track, and kind of just it was a big thing between us, me running track, and it kind of just made me dislike the sport of tennis. Like I kind of had like a I don't know, I started like to dislike it just because of that. So I was like, you know what, I don't really want to play tennis in college. Like maybe I'm just gonna go as a student. So then, as my track career progressed and I got a little bit faster, I was like, okay, I'm not too bad. Maybe I should try to walk on to my institution because I was already gonna go to Tulane anyways. So I walked on, and I guess the rest, is history from there.
Oh, that's cool. You talk about that college process going from, maybe playing tennis in college to maybe not doing any sports, walking on and track. Was there a specific moment you can recall where you're like, okay, I'm gonna try and pursue this, or was it just kind of like an evolution, like a process? You kind of just started running track and was like, okay, now I can do this in college.
I think as soon as I ran sub 11, I was like, wow, I might actually be like pretty good at this because that's a pretty big barrier that for most athletes, I'm sure, like,
Hmm.
I mean, anyone who's broke sub 11 knows that like just the difference between 11.0 and 10.99 just feels massive.
Hmm.
So like, I think as soon as I broke sub 11, I was like, wow, like maybe I could be pretty good at this. And that's when I was like, I'm gonna try to pursue this further.
Okay. That's interesting because I feel like there's a lot of people that run track, and it's like, okay, I'm doing this. This is like the only thing I'm doing. I don't have any other like sports going on, and they're like just solely dedicated to track. So do you think
hmm
like tennis played any role in your track development? Like, would you see any
hmm
crossover between the two, and how did that kind of affect you?
I think so, yeah. Like because I play tennis, like it's a really explosive sport, especially when you're serving, when you're moving, hitting backhands and forehands. It like you have to have a lot of fast twitch muscle fibers to be good. And I think that really played a role in it. But I think the two biggest things that translated was just my ability to stay relaxed. So I know, like, in track, a big thing is you have to stay relaxed when you run. That helps you run faster, and it's hard for a lot of athletes to stay relaxed. And in tennis, it was like that too. You had to be relaxed when you play. And I became really good at staying relaxed when I played tennis, and it translated perfectly to the track. So I'm a really relaxed runner when I sprint, and I think that's helped me a lot.
Okay, so that's interesting because I haven't talked to anyone that's had like I've had some no track and football, track and basketball, but I haven't really talked to anyone track and tennis. So that's interesting insight. Talk about the explosive aspect. You touched a little bit on your lifting and how this was kind of your like first time lifting for track specifically.
Mhm.
Do you think that's like one of the most underrated parts of track that people don't really focus on, or is it, what's your take on it?
Just on lifting in general for the sport.
Yeah, just lifting in general for
So
track. Yeah.
I think lifting is obviously a huge part of track, but I think if you aren't applying the force that you have in the weight room, it doesn't matter. Like I know people who are, strong is way stronger than me, but they aren't faster. And it's simply because when I strike the ground, I'm putting way more force into the ground than they are. And I'm doing so way more efficiently. So like obviously lifting matters, but if you can't apply the force that you're creating in the weight room, then like it doesn't really matter at all, right? Like if a guy can squat 500 pounds, but's only putting 300 pounds of force into the ground, and a guy who squats 300 pounds puts 300 pounds of force into the ground, they're going to run the same speed because all it is force into the ground. But I
That's
do
interesting.
think that actually that one thing that helped me a lot this year is just lifting for muscular endurance and just staying healthy. Like my hamstrings were super weak, and I came in this year with a lot of extra work to get my hamstrings stronger. I think that helped a lot when it came to just being durable and being able to get through the tough practices and things like that. But when it comes to just going to a meet and running your 100 or running your 200, I think that the weight room is only going to help you when it comes to how much force you can actually apply from the weight room.
Okay, so you think it's kind of knowing how to apply the force you get from, all the weight stuff. So that's like,
I would say, yeah, I wouldn't go to the weight room and focus on the weight you're putting up. I would focus on the quality, and then go when you get to the track. I would focus on making sure you're applying that force into the ground. Because I mean, once you learn how to apply the force into the ground, obviously the strength will come. But I wouldn't go like the reverse and get all the strength and not know how to put it into the ground.
and for you, did you like always know that, or was there, did someone have to tell you that, or did you kind of just like realize that?
Kind of a mix of both. So I like And at first, when I would sprint, I didn't even realize you were supposed to put any force to the ground. I thought it was kind of like a cadence thing, like you just move your feet as fast as you can, and that's what you do. And then, obviously, my coach, she told me that, you're supposed to put force into the ground. And I was like, okay, I'll put a little bit of force. And then I kind of realized, like, the more I sprinted, the more force that I was capable of doing. Like, it's kind of like had a breakthrough moment, like, wow, like, I can really strike the ground this hard and still move fast. Because I kind of had like a mental block I would feel like if I struck the ground too hard, my foot would stay glued to the ground, which isn't actually the case. Obviously, the harder you strike the ground, the more you'll feel the ground, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be on the ground for longer. So it was kind of like I had to hear it, what I was supposed to do, and then I had to go out and I had to do it and realize this is right versus this is wrong.
Yeah, and how much do you think for you, like it was technique that you had to focus on versus like, I don't know, just like improving your speed? Because you obviously said you ran 10.8 pretty quickly into your track career, but
Mhm.
do you think it was more so to get to this point, it was like improving your technique, or more so like improving your strength and just overall like speed, endurance, and all that kind of stuff?
I would say probably everything under the sun. I mean, my mechanics were not good. Like when I ran today, I was super backhanded. I was probably stepping in front of my hips. So I mean, they weren't good, but I was kind of just I had enough natural talent to get me there. So I had to take a couple steps back and learn how to run frontside and learn how to apply force to the ground. So I think if you take away the weight training and you just take away, I mean, and you just apply my mechanical advances, I think I would still be pretty fast. I don't think I would be as fast. So I think it's a mixture of both. Because I think you got to be able to run correctly, and then have the weight training to back you up. So I think it's yeah, I think it's a mix of both.
Okay. And would you say like for you it's pretty easy to execute on your technique in the races, or has it taken a while to kind of get to a point where you're like, okay, I know I'm gonna run this way. I'm gonna run this way in practice. I'm gonna run this way in the meet, or has it always just been kind of a thing you've always had to be conscious of and be aware of?
So, I mean, I do think that for some things, like until something becomes a habit, you have to think about it every time you do it. So like a big thing for me is maybe like pushing up the blocks. Like if I don't think about even right now, if I don't think about doing it, I'm probably not gonna do it, and I'll probably just kind of cycle out the blocks. So some things like that, I do have to think about doing it. When it comes to just my upright sprinting mechanics, it does come more naturally now because I've been working on it for about a year, and I think that I was blessed with the ability to not even have necessarily bad habits because I wasn't sprinting for a very long time.
Hmm.
So I only had about a year of incorrect sprint training to where like it didn't take much to break those bad habits and then fix them and turn them into good ones. And then when it comes to just like going to a meet and then applying everything I do in practice, I think a big thing is running in practice how you run in meets. Like if I'm gonna do a block shot in practice, I'm gonna get out like I'm getting out in a meet. Obviously, it's never gonna be the same because you got the adrenaline in the meet, you got the meet arousal. Like it'll never be the same. I think a big thing is just practicing how you perform, how you compete. Wait, does that make sense? Yeah, practicing how you compete
Hmm.
because like you can't run slow in practice and then expect to go to the meet and then run super fast. That's just not how it works. So yeah, I would say that you got to practice, and practice correctly, and then you go to the meet and it'll be good. Because my tennis coach used to say practice makes permanent. So the more you practice it, the more permanent it becomes in your brain. The less you have to think about it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. 'Cause I feel like track is one of those sports where people don't realize how much technique goes into it. Obviously, you said that
Hmm.
people just see the time and it's like, okay, they probably just got that. They probably just got that because they were blessed with speed or whatever. But
Hmm.
obviously, as you touched on, there's a lot of different technique, a lot of different mechanical stuff, and obviously weight training that has to go into get into where you're at. So at the top, you kind of touched a little bit on your injuries. Has there been like a toughest injury you've had to deal with, and how did it impact you, like physically and mentally?
Um, I would say that's tough. I'd probably say, I mean, every injury I've had has been pretty tough mentally. And physically, it's never like physically, it's only going to limit me as much as it physically can. But I feel like the mental aspects of injuries are always the worst part. Like when I had my hamstring strain last year, like I got it right after I started to run decent times again, and I was like, damn, like it basically killed the rest of my season because I couldn't really run the next two meets. And I was like, damn, like I mean, this sucks, and I was pretty bad. But this year, like I was dealing with like this my hip injuries. It was also bad because there was a period where I took 3 weeks off, and I was like, okay, they told me these 3 weeks should be enough. You should be 100% when you get back, and I wasn't. I'm still not, but I'm able to kind of get through it. But I was kind of scared for a second, like, damn, like, what if I'm not gonna even be able to run outdoors, you know? And obviously, I am. I'm fine. I've been working through it. But I think that was pretty scary when I was faced with the fact that I might not be able to run outdoors.
For sure. Um, so you touched on the mental part. What has been kind of one challenging aspect of the mental process of just like overcoming injuries in general, but also just like maintaining hope for like when you get back, like knowing that the work you put in before and during the recovery process will lend you lead you to success.
I feel like if you just do what you're supposed to do, eventually you'll succeed. I mean, like I'm a big believer in God, and I think that's just one of the biggest things for me. Like I feel like God has a plan for me and everything, and I feel like as long as I believe in Him and do what I'm supposed to do and don't stray off my path, I think that's really just it. Like I can't get more of an answer than that because I feel like if you just are truly unwavering in your faith in God, like things will turn out as they are, as they're supposed to be, as He intended. So I wouldn't like get caught up in like, oh well, this isn't going well right now. Well, like I think that God just has a greater plan, and I think that you should trust in Him and don't stress yourself out about the little things.
I love that. As a big believer in God myself, I think, that's really big. Trusting that God has a plan. God has a plan for everyone. Knowing that there's going to be peaks and valleys, and you just gotta,
Exactly, yeah.
work through those. So I really like that. How would you say, kind of been the how's the balance been between like managing your body and training, because obviously right now you're trying to run fast, you're trying to
Mhm.
accomplish all these things, but at the same time you're still working through your injuries or your whatever you're going through right now. So talk about like is how much of a challenge has it been kind of having to manage your body, but also like trying to realize that you're trying to accomplish something bigger than maybe what your body can allow you to do.
But it's not easy. I mean, I'd like to joke around and tell my mom I work more hours than she does. So I feel like I wake up, get breakfast, I go to class till noon, practice till like maybe 6. And after that, I still got to go work on my body, make sure it's straight. So I'm really basically doing something from 9 to 7 every day, like no break. It is, so it's not easy, but I mean, it kind of just comes down to like how bad do I want to do it and how bad do I believe I can do it. Those two things have to, they gotta match. Like I have to believe I can do it, and then I have to go and I have to apply that belief and how bad I want it. I can want it as bad as I mean, I can want it a lot, but if I don't believe I can do it, it's never gonna get done. And I can believe it a lot, but if I don't want it, it's never gonna get done. So those things have to match up. I just gotta go and I just gotta get it done. And I mean, my results are pretty good. Like, I mean, I can't say I'm not satisfied. Obviously, I want to run faster. I have bigger goals. But I mean, like, I'm just trusting in God's plan. I'm trusting in the work I put in. And I'm just going, taking it every step, I mean, every day, one day at a time, and just getting things done.
I like that mindset because track obviously is a grind. It's an individual sport, that goes without saying. But at the same time, I feel like you gotta like just like motivate yourself to a certain extent, kind of just be there. So I would say next thing I want to touch on is like how has it been? I know it was a brief time in high school, but still there's a difference between high school and college track, and just in general. So what has been like your biggest adjustment as far as running, but also like outside of running? Like you talked about more freedom, but like what has that been like for you?
For me, the biggest difference is 100%. Hold up, bro. It's a fly.
No, you're
It's a
good.
100%. It's probably the competition. In track, I went to a private school, not very competitive. I would go to the meets and basically just win. At least I would medal every time. So I mean, it was no pressure. Go out and joust with your friends. Like it was easy. I mean, yeah, there was no competitive meets, no competitive athletes. You had a lot of fun. You got McDonald's after the meet. You drove there with your friends. Like it was super easy. Here you come and it feels like a business. Like it feels like you're there representing your school. Like you're almost like an asset. Not to say your coaches aren't friends with you. Like I mean, I'm sure they like us enough, but you feel like an asset. You go there and you're like, you got to do this and that. You got to make sure that you're doing this and this and this and this. And I mean, and then obviously the competition is way, way better. Way, 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 way better. Like I don't even know if I had like placed less than third in my whole track career until I came to college. So I mean, the competition is insane and the pressure is insane. And I would say that getting used to that pressure was probably the biggest thing. Because I would go to the meets and I mean, it would be almost overwhelming. It took me a while to learn how to have fun at a collegiate track meet. Because I would kind of just go there and it would feel like I'm taking an exam or something, getting
Mm.
tested. And I feel like one big thing that a lot of people don't do is go and just have fun. Because I feel like if you don't have fun, you just won't be able to perform as well.
That's interesting. I think that's yeah. No, you talked about like the business approach and everything being like so transactional. I think in college right now, obviously, a lot is changing, but just going back to just like the basics and having fun. I really feel like that's crucial because that goes into staying relaxed, which is a key to track and sprinting, obviously.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I
uh,
feel like a big thing too is that like the meet is where you're supposed to have fun, which I think a lot of people get it flipped, like flip it. Like they go have fun at practice and they joke around at practice. They kind of goof off at practice. And that's when you put the work in for the meet. Like at practice, you need to be going 100%. Like I'm not saying you can't have fun in practice, but that's when you can't be wasting reps. You got to go 100%. You got to be locked in, because then that practice is what sets you up for the meet. So at the meet, there's nothing you can do to run faster at the meet when you're already there. It's all about the practice you put in the weeks before. So you need to go to the meet and you need to have fun, because there's nothing else you can do. I could go sit around the meet and mean mug and be pretend like I'm locked in and not talk to anybody and do all of that, and but I mean, that's not going to do anything for me because I'm already there. I've already put in the hours. So whatever work I put in the previous weeks is what's gonna help me run fast then. So I go to the meet and I just have fun. I go eat. I go out to eat with my friends. I joke around while I'm waiting. Obviously, I make sure I do a proper warm up. Things like that. But I talk to the guys next to me while I'm waiting to run. I just have fun at the meets because I know there's nothing I can do today that's gonna make me run faster.
Hmm. That's great insight. Because I had I had a coach in a different sport. He's like, practice should always be like not literally, but like 10 times harder than the actual competition. Because the practice is where you basically simulating the game or simulating a race.
Hmm.
And I think that's what get lost, because people think, because you're not being watched, you're not having like an official time being put down in practice or anything like that, that it's okay to kind of joke around and stuff. But I really feel like, as you
Hmm.
said, competition, that's where the work shows. I mean, the work has
Hmm.
already been done, so there's
Right.
no
Competing
reason.
is not supposed to be hard, right? It should never be hard because no matter what you run, let's say you run the 400, the repeat 350s are always going to be hard and they're running the 1 400 at the meet. Like competing should never be hard. It should always be easy, should always be fun. So, I mean, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so for sure. And do you feel like there's one thing that kind of, I don't know, like allowed you to have fun, but like obviously you said there's a lot that goes into it, like the work that goes in at practice and stuff. But like at the meet, what kind of made you realize that, okay, this is just, I already put in the work. This is already, um, I'm gonna run what I'm gonna run, and I can't really do anything about it now. Like, was
Hmm.
there, did you realize that at a certain point? Was that like kind of
Hmm.
always a mentality you had?
No, I kind of realized it like maybe I would probably say I realized it indoors, like I would say you kind of just, I don't want to say you shouldn't care, but you kind of just gotta not care a little bit. Like you gotta obviously do your best. You gotta make sure that you're, prepared. But like truly, there just isn't anything you can do race day that's gonna like magically make you run faster because that's what practice is for. So you kind of just gotta go there and just kind of just not care so much. You shouldn't be so focused on things that you like, even when it comes to results almost. Like I could go out and run 10:45 and that's not a PR for me. But if I run 10:45 and I think it's a really good race and I think I did everything properly, I should be happy because some days I'm just not gonna run as fast. Maybe
Hmm.
I just woke up feeling a little bit groggy. Maybe my fast twitch muscles weren't firing as well. And I mean, that, shouldn't really bring my mood down. Like if I ran a good race, then the day that I'm feeling fast and I apply that same good race, I'm gonna run 10:20. So like I just wouldn't get like caught up in things that you can't control because like once you get to the race day, there really isn't that much you can control, right? All you do is you get in your blocks, the gun goes off, and you run as fast as you can. Like Myers used to just tell me like, hey, just all you really are doing is running from point A to point B as fast as you can. That's it. Like all the practice you put in, all of that, you should be worrying about that while you're at practice. When you're at the meet, the gun goes off, you just run as fast as you can, and that's what it is. So I would say like to not care about everything under the sun and just kind of focus on just running as fast as you can. That's about it.
For sure. Touched on something interesting. I think a lot of people kind of stress over is like it's not necessarily the goal to set a personal record, set a personal best, even I mean set a season's best. Obviously, what you're trying to accomplish every time, but just because you don't do that doesn't mean it wasn't a successful race, a successful jump,
Hmm.
whatever it is. So I really think that's good insight. Even you could tie that into other sports. Basketball. Like you're not scoring a career high in points every night, but hey, you might have impacted winning in a different way. So I really think that's good insight. Just for track specifically, but
Hmm.
kind of all sports. You kind of going through like okay, I executed how I know I should execute, and the
Hmm.
results are what the results are. So
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I mean, you don't see football players mad because they didn't get a new career high in receiving yards every game, right? It's all about what you did and how you performed. I think somebody would be upset if they had the most drops they had in the game, right? And I'd be upset if I went to the meet and I like stumbled out the blocks or I didn't drive at all. That would be upsetting. But just because simply I didn't run a new personal record doesn't mean that I should be upset if the race itself was good. Because obviously, it's just you're not really gonna PR every time, and that's reality. Like I've been fortunate to run good hundreds, my 300s this year, but I mean, I'm sure at some point in the year, maybe I won't but I'm sure at some point in the year I might not PR. You can only run so fast, so many different times.
exactly. Um, so I think one interesting thing that I've asked kind of every athlete that I've had on the podcast so far is like one thing that they wish other people knew about like being a college athlete that people don't know, like as far as like behind the scenes and stuff. Like one thing that you would like to share that's not well known, or maybe it is well known and people just don't really know the importance of it. So if you have anything as far as like your rehab or your weight training, or maybe something you eat, or something, maybe some part of your routine or something. Just talk about like something that's been more important than people realize.
Um, I would probably say the two things that you already touched upon, having fun. So I'm not gonna go into that again. But I would say another big thing is kind of just the little things that we do outside of practice, outside of meets, when we're not a student athlete. Kind of just going when we're just a student. Going to class and doing your homework, eating correctly, sleeping a long time, even having fun on the weekends, you don't want your life to just be your sport. I would say like kind of acknowledging the fact that you're not just an athlete, you're also a student. So you want to go, you want to do your homework. I think that's important. You want to, because I feel like part of it is kind of how you do one thing is dictates how you do everything. So if I slack in class, then that might translate to the track, right? So I think I got to do 100% in every area, but also having fun outside of track, outside of student life. Going out to a party every once in a while. Like it doesn't mean go get drunk, go get wasted, miss practice the next day. But I mean, you can still go to a party and have fun and still be able to perform your best at practice and perform your best at the meet. So I would say kind of just separating yourself from being an athlete and not letting that dictate your entire life.
I like that. I would say for me personally, I definitely found that to be a challenge, just because it's you're doing one thing, like the track aspect, such a big part of your life. You got the school aspects, and that takes up a lot of time too. So um, I really do agree, and I've heard from a lot of people, finding something outside of what you spend your most hours doing is really key. Just in terms of take your mind off of it, but just not always focusing on not always focusing on like on track when you're doing schoolwork, or not focusing on schoolwork when you're running track or whatever it is. So and just like finding something outside of your sport that really can just help you escape. So I think that's still like an ongoing process for me. But obviously, you talked about different types of things that you do. So I really think that's a really good message just for just anyone in general, really. Even if you're just a student, I would say it's really important to still find something outside your schoolwork to be passionate about, to take your mind take your mind off, take your mind off the main thing, really. So I really think that's just really just important in life in general. So I really like that you brought that up. Moving on a little bit, let's say you do run a couple more good races. Like what does a good rest of the season look like for you?
Um, Ideally, like if I could just say, I don't mean, like I feel like I'm super confident in myself, so I feel like this weekend I can go to UCF and I can run 10-2. I'm not sure what the competition is going to be like at UCF, so hopefully it's good. But I feel like I should be able to run 10-2. It's not too far away. Like 10:25 to 10:29 is kind of the range that I feel like I need to be in. Um, but 200 needs a lot of work, so hopefully I can run a 20:90, something like that. I mean, I just ran 21:0 in practice on the way to 250 meters. So I know I have the ability to run 20:90. Like, I mean, I run 10:3 on the 100. I should be running like 20:70. But I've had a lot of issues on the curve. So I've been working on that. So hopefully I can run 20:90 or 10:2. Obviously, hopefully I can do both. But, I would take one of those things. So those are both victories for me. So that's the goal. And then, I have another meet the next week. And I think back-to-back meets are really good because they give you a quick turnover to remember what you need to fix on, and you need to fix it. You fix it immediately. You just have like a week to do it, so it gets fixed real fast. You don't forget about it. So even if I don't run 10-2 or don't run 20:90 this weekend, I mean I'm sure I can get it the next weekend. So I think that's a really beneficial thing. And also the first round nationals is at the track that we're going to be at 2 weekends from now. So it'll be good to run on that track and see what it's like.
Hmm.
But I mean, honestly, for the future, like uh conference, I'm really hoping I can put down 10-1. It's far away. It's not that close. But 10-1-9, I feel like with really good competition, we have the South Florida guys. One's running 9-8, three are running 10-0. I feel like with that type of competition and that 100-meter final, I feel like that's the race that if I can run 10-1, that's the race I can do it in. And I'm not going to sit here and say I can't do it. So I'm gonna be upfront. That's a goal of mine. So I think 10-1 is probably the end goal for the season.
Like it. Just to close it out, do a segment called Rapid Fire Questions. So, first question is going to be favorite meal or favorite, I know, like pre-race meal or meal like the night before or whatever. What would that be for you?
Favorite pre-race meal? Night before, like if I'm eating dinner, I'm gonna have to go with Chick-fil-A. But if it's like the morning, I like some pancakes and sausage and some fruit. I think that really gets me right.
All right. Uh, favorite, race day song if you listen to one.
Race day songs. That is tough. I really like. That's tough. Uh, um, let's go with. I like Every Day by ASAP Rocky.
Okay, I like that. Uh, indoor or outdoor? Just like which one do you prefer?
Outdoors for sure.
That's what every track person has said so far. That's what I was expecting. Uh, socks or no socks, just for running in
No
general.
socks and spikes for sure. Socks
Uh,
and the trainers, but no socks and spikes. No socks and spikes.
is anything more to that, or just that's all you got?
I don't know. I don't like socks and spikes. Sometimes I practice in it because I don't feel like taking them off, but never in competition will you see me in socks and spikes. Number one, I just think it looks a little bit weird with the uniform, especially if it's black socks. But number two, I just like the feel of just barefoot in the spike. It makes me feel closer to the track.
Okay, that's interesting for sure. And last one, fastest person you ran with or raced against.
Um, ooh, fastest person, probably like probably like Egbe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell people a little bit about her. What she do?
I guess she's a jack of all trades. She runs the 1-2-4, graduate student at Tulane. Like 11-4 in the one. Like I don't know what she runs in the two to be honest. Probably like 52 in the four. But she's good. She's good. She's good. Regional qualifier in every event. At least right now. I guess first round national qualifier is what it's the real term in every event right now. So
Oh, she can slide for sure. Uh, okay, so last couple of things. If you had to give one piece of advice to young athletes, or honestly just any athletes in general, dealing with setbacks, would that be
hmm
physical, mental, whatever it is, like what would that be?
I would say number one, trust in God. And I would say number two, trust in yourself in that order. So I feel
Trusting
like
God, trust.
you need to have a lot of confidence in yourself. You need to have a lot of confidence in God. And if you can have those two things, I think you'll be all right.
Got you. And last thing, where can people follow you and keep up with like everything you're doing, just so people can just follow you and check out your races and everything.
And I guess my Instagram, it's Lee Harris, but it has three R's in Harris. So LeeHarris.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been a great conversation. Really, really just appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.